Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second ever episode of From Junk to Jank. I'm Ryan, and this week I'm actually joined by Tom, who was missing from last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Hello. What's up?
So Tom's actually going to be here in place of Gabe tonight. I don't really know what Gabe's doing. I didn't ask. Oops. So tonight we're going to be talking about the glorious deck that is Mardu Pyromancer, and why it's not seen as much, actually. And then we'll talk about Dredge, and we'll talk about a deck that we're kind of gonna teach Tom about Standard a little bit. So Tom, why don't you tell everyone what you enjoy in Magic?
Hot Jank. More specifically, I play mostly monocolor decks. I play Freewind Red. I play Mono Green Stompy. In Legacy, I play Mono Red Burn. In Old School, I play Mono Red 14 Fireballs.
Hey Tom, what else do you play besides monocolor decks?
5-color decks, of course. You either play. So my philosophy on Magic is that you either want to play one color as well as possible, or you want to play all 5 colors because you get to play all the cool shit.
And I'm over here saying you need to play 2 or 3.
You're wrong. My current deck is 5-color control, featuring such gems as Nahiri, Unburial Rites, Zetalpa. That's coming out, by the way, Ryan. That was a horrible idea.
You listen to me.
For Platinum Empyrean and Gifts Ungiven.
You listen to me, and that's your fault.
It really is, actually. I don't know why I did that.
So to be fair, as much as I'm going to crap on Tom about his 5-color control, he actually 3-1 FNM with it last night.
Yeah.
And it's just an FNM, but it's kind of sick. It's something that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So now we can move on to this gem that we have in front of us that is the former Boogeyman that Jerry Thompson almost won a Pro Tour with. Did he win a Pro Tour with it?
Just a heads up, I think your stream just...
My stream might have. I don't think the... Yeah, it's still going, it says.
Okay. It's not showing for me, but whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually need to be right now.
Yeah, right now it's kind of relevant.
Anyway.
Did Jerry Thompson win that Pro Tour?
I believe he came in second, although I can double check.
I'm about to double check too. Which one was that? That was the modern one, right? Rivals?
I'm just Googling Jerry Thompson.
I want to say it was Rivals.
Either way, he came very close to winning a Pro Tour.
He came second because I remember now. Luis Salvato won, I believe, with Lantern.
Right.
And everyone thought it was the Dawn of the Lantern of Winter, and it wasn't because, spoiler alert, Lantern sucks.
You take that back. Lantern plus more than 2 colors is wonderful.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm the kind of guy that would play Lantern. It's still terrible.
Did I ever show you that Lantern plus Freewind Red list I put together?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a train wreck.
It was terrible.
Yes. So for those in the audience who are not aware, Lantern is not an easy deck to pilot.
No. No.
Especially if you're trying to mash it up with another prison deck and see what happens. It is a recipe for going to time in every round and making generally the staff and all of the other players really, really angry.
If you guys want to see someone try to pilot Lantern for an entire day, look up Jeff Hoagland, who played it for an extended period of time because his fans donated for him to play nothing but Lantern for a day.
That feels fair.
I'm not even kidding. It was hilariously bad.
I'm sure it was.
Anyway. So, Mardu Pyromancer is a Mardu deck, so white, red, and black, based around Young Pyromancer, and then, in my opinion, Bedlam Reveler.
I mean, yes.
So, the list we're looking at is actually one that won an IQ in Newington. I have no idea where that is, by the way. I wish it told me.
Either way. It's somewhere in the U.S., presumably.
Ooh, Dredge took it. That's true.
Which, if you'll remember, is our second deck.
I'm not going to lie. I might not talk too much about Mardu besides just giving the facts and leave it to Tom. I might not shut up when we're talking about Dredge.
I fully expect it.
I'm just mentioning it to the people who are watching because Let's be real.
That feels fair.
It's my favorite deck. So, Young Pyromancer, for those who don't know, is a 1 and a red for a 2/1. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 elemental creature token. What do you think of that card, Tom?
It's pretty great. So, one of the decks I didn't mention that I have piloted in the past is Mardu Pyromancer and Mardu Nahir. Pyromancer is straight gas.
It is.
It dodges removal very well, as long as you leave up mana so you can actually cast something, just because you can generate value out of it in response to removal. Being able to make a couple 1/1s by either pathing their dude, bolting their face, and then just you beat them down with 1/1 token. It's a fucking blast.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. For everyone who doesn't know me, I've played a lot of decks in Modern. I've probably played just as many, if not more, in Standard because it's easier to put together. I have played Mardu Pyromancer. Currently, my webcam is sitting on top of the remnants of Mardu Pyromancer. Not even kidding.
Is that what that pile was?
Oh, yeah. Right in front of my thing, yeah.
God damn.
Mardu Pyromancer is at the top. It's also where my Leyline of the Voids were until today.
That feels wrong.
Oh, they just went Dredge's sideboard for the tournament I went to today. I'll talk about that tournament when we're talking about Dredge, because I have some strong opinions.
Quick question. You said you didn't have Leyline... Oh, okay, it's just not in your...
It just wasn't in my sideboard.
I got it.
So I have also played Mardu Pyromancer, and the deck is good. There's one thing that this deck isn't doing in the sideboard that I did. It might have been wrong. I thought it was great. I was a big proponent of Hazoret.
I think as a 1 of it's not bad.
I played one in the sideboard for my control/grindy matchups, and it just won games. It was really good.
I'm not as big a fan of it, honestly, in Mardu, just because you are playing a bit of a reactive deck, and holding cards in hand is something you generally want to be.
I mean, fair.
If you Bedlam Reveler kind of explicitly turns off Hazoret the turn you play it, usually.
It does. What has happened is I've played Bedlam Reveler and I drew Hazoret, played the other two cards and passed, and then I would play a land Hazoret.
Well, yeah.
That's how I'd always do it up. I don't play it in the deck expecting to do it when I have Bedlam Reveler in my hand, but you do it after Bedlam Reveler. Because at worst case, if it somehow goes to the graveyard, I get it back with K-Command, and it was good.
Again, I don't hate it. I would never want it as more than a...
Oh, I completely understand. So now that we talked about Young Pyromancer, there's actually a card in this list we're looking at that specifically I have not seen in this deck before at all.
Would that be Legion Warboss?
It would be Legion Warboss. So, for everyone who doesn't know anything about Guilds of Ravnica, this is
one of the best cards.
Everyone's calling it the new Ravelmaster. It kind of is.
Right.
It's a
They're right.
2 and a red for a 2/2 with Mentor. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That token gains haste until end of turn and attacks this combat if able. Tom has nothing short of a raging hard-on for this card.
I've used those exact words, actually. 15 minutes ago, in fact.
Yep.
So again, I play Freeman Red. My sideboard is a train wreck, because most of my decks are. But more importantly, it is 2 copies of Hazoret, which I do like in that deck. My 4 Chandra, and 8 Rabble Masters / Rabble Mentors, as I like to call this card.
Rabble Mentor.
Because I think it is one of the most powerful things you can do on turn 1.
Let's be real. If you put a 3-mana creature into play on turn 1, you're probably winning the game.
Generally, the deck's game plan, yes.
To be fair, I've done that in Legacy a lot.
It is also one of the most powerful things you can do under a Blood Moon.
No.
Which is relevant in this list, because there's no Blood Moon.
Oh yeah, we're going to get to that.
Oh yeah. I have a strong opinion on it.
So, next we go to my favorite card in the deck. A card that I have actually tried to play countless numbers of times. More than I'd like to admit.
Have you tried it in other color combos?
Huh?
Have you tried it in other color combinations?
Bedlam Reveler? I've tried it in blue-red.
Seems fine. kind of want to try it in Zoo, honestly, but it doesn't feel like it would be really good there.
I mean, I get it, I guess.
It's a great reload, but the fact that you need to be casting spells. I want to try it in Burn.
So, funny enough, Lucas actually plays it in a sideboard.
Does he really?
Yeah. So,
Modern Burn.
Lucas is a friend of ours who doesn't play anything besides Burn.
Yeah,
Tom affectionately called him the Mountain Man because he only wants to play mountains. You're not wrong.
I did that, actually.
You're not wrong. He's
building other decks in Legacy, and they're all using mountains.
To be fair, I also play that deck.
Yeah. It's what I'd be playing if I had 4 City of Traders and 4 Ancients, but I don't.
I mean, I'm borrowing them.
Yeah. Borrowing $1,000 of cards makes you.
Hey, my friend who I borrowed them from was at F&M last night.
Oh, it's Josh.
Yeah.
Right, you told me that.
Yeah, he was there, hanging out with us, yeah. Him and I actually sort of split in the last round. I say sort of. I conceded to him because I would, if I beat him, he got nothing. If he beat me, he got something, so I just conceded.
That feels fair.
So for everyone who doesn't know but this about me, I'm a big fan of good standard formats.
I'd say really, but
I'm a huge fan of good standard formats. I'm even a fan of bad standard formats when I can find a good deck to play in it. I've played Esper Control. I played it at the end of last standard format with Nexus of Fate. Cut them from my deck, and I've been playing Esper Control in this format, and I don't lose often. Like, I ran the gauntlet of good players last night, Tom, besides the first round.
Oh, who'd you play against? I'm sorry, I was so focused on what I was doing.
Do you know Scraggly?
Yeah.
I played him round 1. Kicked his poop in.
So, yes.
Round 2, I beat Curtis. Round 3, I beat Zach Grant.
I'm sorry, let's go back one sec.
Huh?
You played Esper Control.
Yes.
You beat Curtis.
Yes.
Who's playing Mono?
Yes.
All right, I'm a little impressed right now.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he did draw really bad. He did.
Doesn't matter. That deck...
Yeah, he could pilot a potato and beat me yesterday. And then I played against Abzan Knights, and I also won.
Zach
Grant, yeah. Plays Abzan Knights.
Oh, you put together Abzan Knights, yes.
Yeah, I ritual ascended him a couple times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I was supposed to play against Josh, who I don't beat often. In the last round, he was playing Golgari midrange. I think I could have won easily. I just didn't care.
Feels fair. Was he 2-1?
He was 2-1. I was 3-0.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you did.
So Bedlam Reveler. This is gonna happen a lot. This is gonna happen a lot tonight, and that's fine.
I will apologize this once, and then it's gonna keep happening.
We will probably not apologize again, but just we're letting you know. We'll probably take some offshoots to talk about some things. It's kind of like this. I don't really expect this to be a very formal and put together podcast. It's more or less just us hanging out and talking about decks that we think are sweet or good. Yeah. So Bedlam Reveler is an 8-mana 3/4 with
That's a pretty bad stat line.
with prowess, and you have to discard your hand and draw 3 cards when it enters the battlefield. Now, all of you out there are saying, "Man, this card sounds terrible."
I know I did when it came out.
I mean, we all did. It costs 1 less for each instant or sorcery in your graveyard.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and so a lot of the time, especially in this deck, they cast this card for 2 red mana. And for everyone who doesn't know about Modern, they banned a card called Treasure Cruise, which was 8 mana, 7 and a blue with Delve, so you can exile cards from your graveyard to cheapen it, draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
So they made it, you have to pay 2 mana to do it, but you also get a body.
Now, to be fair, that card was a little better than Bedlam.
A little bit, but the body is a non-zero thing.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine playing Bedlam Reveler into Treasure Cruise?
No, actually.
Oh. And dig through time? And dig through time!
Yeah, it turns out modern bans do exist for a reason, folks. And
Hey.
It turns out that
We're allowed to play Blood Moon on turn 3, but we're not allowed to play Stoneforge Mystic.
What's that?
We're allowed to play Blood Moon on turn 3, but we ain't allowed to play Stoneforge Mystic.
Who plays Blood Moon on turn 3? I play on turn
1. Okay, again, we get to play Blood Moon on turn 1, but we can't play Stoneforge Mystic?
That sounds fun.
Like, this could be a Mardu Stoneforge Mystic deck.
I don't think that's a good thing. I think that would be bad for the format.
It'd be sick.
I think the format's actually in a good place right now. I don't think we should be going for that.
Yeah, for the record, I'm going to sit here and make some stupid suggestions. No, the format's fine. Humans is probably the best case, best deck that there is. Mind you, I hate that deck, so me saying this should mean something to you people. It's a fine best deck. It doesn't hurt to have a deck that, like, statistically is better than most of the others. Especially when it's a fair mid-range / aggro deck.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, if it's a combo deck, that's different.
If it was Storm, we should have bans, because Storm should not be good. As Wizards of the Coast has shown.
Well, they just hate Storm.
I mean, do you blame them? They hate Dredge, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
That one makes me mad. Anyway. Liliana the Last Hope. Very good Planeswalker. A lot of decks play it, but, like, as we're going to show you after, the card selections of it, this is actually, like, a third of it. They've been splitting their choices between this, Liliana of the Veil, and Nahiri the Harbinger.
I'm going to go on record and say I think Liliana of the Veil is wrong.
I think it should be Last Hope right now.
Yeah.
At this moment, I think it should be Last Hope. If we go to a point where Control is the best deck in the format, Veil.
Well, yeah.
But Last Hope is, like, extremely strong.
We're actually getting pretty close to that.
I think so. Now we're going to get to a card that we're going to talk about twice tonight, with very good reason. Arguably, in my opinion, the best card selection spell in Modern.
Oh, yeah. I play this in okay.
I play this in everything.
Yeah. I play a few Modern decks. I have a few currently built.
No.
A few that I could put together pretty... Yeah, shut up. A few I could put together pretty easily.
I play this in both the decks I play.
All but one of them plays Faithless Looting, and that is mono. Because Faithless Looting is probably one of the best cards in Modern, because card selection is actually just strictly better than card quality. Sorry. Card selection is strictly better than card quantity in a format where turn 4 wins.
And on top of it...
I'm going to state that, and I will defend that.
On top of that, the Graveyard in Modern is actually a huge resource. Like, 90% of the decks that play Faithless Looting do it because their graveyard's a resource. For context...
I play in decks where it doesn't give a flying fuck about their graveyard.
Well, yeah, for context, Bridgevine plays it.
Well, yeah.
Hollow One plays it, Dredge plays it, Grixis Shadow plays it, Mardu Pyromancer plays it. It's a very good card. It's just a very good card.
I think it's. I also think it's good enough to be played in Free Win Red, where we don't interact with our graveyard.
Yeah, but don't you Chalice for one?
I do play Chalice on one. I think Faithless Looting is so good that I play it with Chalice on one.
Okay, moving on to one of the better removal spells of Modern, the Fatal Push.
I'm sorry, but in Free Win Red, the card selection is so important that I will absolutely give up a.
I mean, I get that.
Also, Chalice on 2 is way more. If I
in Modern, Chalice on 2 is where it's at. In Legacy, it's Chalice on 1.
I wouldn't play Faithless Looting.
I don't touch it in Legacy. I can't.
That's a different beast.
Yeah, no, in Legacy, Free Win Red is like the modern equivalent of Moonstompy in Legacy.
Oh yeah, it's mine and others' port of Moonstompy.
The thing is, Moonstompy in Legacy, it's actually the Legacy deck I play. I played it to a 6-3 finish at a Worcester Team Open where I personally was 6-3 on the day. It's a deck where, like, you Chalice on 1 because its Legacy is so important. You can't not play a Chalice on 1 if you have it.
I would agree with that.
And it's like, I just played Legacy today, and I Chaliced on 1 Reanimator. Reanimator is my worst matchup. I won game 1 because I Chaliced on 1 and then Trinisphered them. I literally had to win that way and then slammed a Spirit Guide down their throat.
Yeah. It's a 2-2.
So The next card we have to talk about is Fatal Push.
Yeah.
I am sad this card is not in Standard anymore.
A lot of people are. A lot of people are happy it's not.
So I'm sad because I played it in Esper Control and it was like very good. I also had my promo playset.
Mine warped really bad.
Mine are sort of warped, but like I kept them in sleeves the entire time and I always played with them, so they're not.
Oh, I don't know what happened to my Hollow One deck. It just turned into a banana. I need to. Anyway, sorry.
There's not really much to say about Fatal Push. It's just very strong.
It's a good card.
The equivalent of that, but for hand attack, is Inquisition of Kozilek.
Yeah, again, very good. Takes out. You play a turn 1, you take their turn 1 play. You play a turn 2, you take their turn 2 play.
Then you play a turn 3 and take their turn 3 play, and they're like, dude, really, why?
No, you play a turn 2 twice and take their turns 2 and.
Yeah. But they're still like, dude, why? And you're like, because I just had 3 Inquisitions in my hand.
Because I can.
Now, to a card that's very near and dear to Tom's heart.
Oh, heck, Bolt.
Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt is a staple of Magic. Like, it's a 1-mana red spell that deals 3 damage.
No fun.
I play this card in Grixis Shadow. I think this card's great. I wish I played more of it. I only play 2.
Lightning Bolt is a bonkers good card because it is never a dead card in your hand.
Yeah. And sometimes you can bolt yourself with it.
Okay, you're playing Shadow. That's a weird.
You know what I actually did today? Shoot off, guys. I have to say this one. This one's funny. My opponent was playing Jeskai Ascendancy combo. This was just for fun after the tournament before I was waiting to leave. He goes, pass. I go...
With that mention, I've heard of that deck twice in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Someone was playing it at F&M.
Oh, no, it was the same guy.
Okay.
Yeah. On his end step, I went, I'm going to K command. He goes, what are your modes? I'm like, you discard a card, I take 2.
Did you have 2 shadows out?
Oh, no, I had 1 shadow in my hand, and I played it making it a 5/5, so my stubborn denials were hard counters.
Oh.
Yeah, no. And Lucas was sitting there, and he goes, what did you just do? I was like, oh, I shocked myself. Oops.
On Moto, that looks like a misclick.
I've done that misclick before.
I know.
Then we have Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is, in my opinion, the best hand attack spell ever.
I mean, yeah. It is.
Next to Hymn to Turak. Hymn to Turak's pretty good.
Mind Twist.
Okay, Mind Twist is also pretty good.
Yeah. But for modern legal hand attack.
It's Thoughtseize. The next card is a card that I don't see many decks play in the main deck. I think it's literally just like this deck and then maybe green-black.
Hollow One plays Collective Brutality.
They do in the main?
It's generally a 2. You can pitch 2 cards and...
like, I'm not surprised by it, but like I remember when I played Hollow One, I played it in the board. That's why I was just like questioning it.
Attack.
Well, I'll be damned. I played 2 main.
Good enough. What?
Like I said, when I played Hollow One, I didn't play in the main. I played him in the board. So I was surprised. I actually had to go look.
I mean, technically I played in the board too, but we all know I was playing the wrong version of Hollow.
Yeah, I was playing Mardu. Like after the Jund craze went by, I tried out Mardu to play Lingering Souls, and it was pretty good.
I still think 5 colors is where it's at for Hollow One.
We're not going there.
Let me just say, Prized Algorithm, Lingering Souls, what was green for?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, so I can activate my Tassiger. That's really it. It was a mistake. Don't do it, kids.
The next 2 cards, they're kind of lumped together in my opinion. Dreadbore and Terminate. Dreadbore has the added ability of killing planeswalkers, but like it does the same job as Terminate, except Terminate's an instant.
Yeah, I mean, it plays 1, right?
It plays 2 and 2.
Plays 4 Dreadbores and Terminates?
Yeah, 2 and 2.
Holy shit, that's heavy.
Yeah. And then 2 Kolaghan's Commands. Kolaghan's Command is just a very versatile card. If you're in red and black, you should probably play it.
Yep.
And then Lingering Souls. I can't say anything bad about Lingering Souls.
Again, very good card.
The card actually blew me out today.
Oh, really? What happened?
I was playing against 4-color Geist, which is like a 4-color control deck, like no green.
Okay, you have my attention.
My opponent beat me to death in game 2 after putting a Leyline of the Void in play on turn 0.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Game 3, we both put Leyline of the Voids in the play on turn 0.
Okay.
I brought it in because he was playing Tassiger, Snapcaster, and Lingering Souls.
Yeah, that's good enough.
And yeah, like as soon as I saw the third card that it was worth it for, I was like, yeah, okay.
That's good.
I died to 2 Lingering Souls tokens, a Snapcaster, a Geist of Saint Draft, and a Tassiger.
That's a lot of random bullshit.
Yeah, they call it 4-color Geist because it's a 4-color control deck that plays Geist of Saint Draft.
I'm kind of want one of these in my 5-color control deck now.
What, Geist?
Yeah.
Geist is insane.
I just like Loki don't know. Anyway.
We're gonna skip the lands. The lands are kind of self-explanatory. They cast their spells. If you want more of a description than that, go look it up.
If you give me 1 sec, I have one thing I want to mention about the land. 2 things.
What do you want to mention about the lands?
The first thing's about the spells before we jump off that.
Oh, the Blood Moon?
No, well, there's that. I think the fact that they're not playing Path is wrong.
I mean, it could be.
Because they're not playing Blood Moon. So my view on Mardu Pyromancer, and Ryan and I talked about this a bit before the stream.
You can go off. I'm going to step away for a second. I have to just run something downstairs for her.
That's fine. I will talk at the audience. I will talk at
just like go off about this because I know you have some opinions you want to share.
Strong opinions.
If I come back and you're still going, I might cut you off.
So, my view on Mardu Pyromancer is that it's one of 2 things. It's either a 2-color deck splashing white that can play Blood Moon in the main, and that can play white for its sideboard cards like Stony, Rest in Peace, Lingering Souls, so it can hardcast it, and Lightning Helix. Or it's a 3-color deck that plays a more controlling route, where its Helix is in the main, it plays Paths, and it can play stuff like Anguish Unmaking, which I think is underplayed in Modern. The deck that we're currently looking at does neither of those. It doesn't play a main deck or sideboard Blood Moon, and it doesn't play any significant white cards worth splashing for other than Combo, a couple Helixes in the sideboard, and a couple Wear Tears, and 1 Sin Collector, which I'm not a huge fan of either, honestly. So my fundamental problem with this deck is that it's not playing enough white cards to make the lack of Blood Moon reasonable. And since it's not playing Blood Moon, if it's not playing Blood Moon, it should be playing more white cards to justify the 3rd color. Otherwise, you'd be playing something like Rakdos Rat Moon, where you're playing Pack Rat, Pyromancer, maybe Rattlemaster. You have a bunch of other options, basically, when you're only playing 2 colors. You have a bunch of slightly weaker, but still valid options when you're playing 2 colors. Go harder than what you plan. At that point, it's not really I don't think it's a valid choice to leave out both Blood Moon and a strong white main deck. That's really my entire rant on it. I could keep going until Ryan gets back, or we could sit here quietly. That sounds like a poor choice. So I'm going to start talking about the mana base a bit. Just because Ryan said we were skipping over that.
Huh?
So, oh yeah, you're back. Okay, I'm almost done with that. The rant. You can listen to it later or don't. Either way.
I probably won't. I'm just trusting you.
All right. Basically, the thing I hadn't covered is the mana base. I think it's wrong to not have more than two white sources. That was really all I was going to say. I think they should be playing a Goblin.
I'm torn. When I played the deck, I only played it with Sacred Boundaries and a Plains. I didn't have Marsh Flats.
I don't particularly care about the Marsh Flats. Not having a black-white fetchable source is a problem.
Oh, I also didn't have that.
All right.
So, yeah, to you, that's wrong. To me, it's normal.
I mean, your Arid Mesa can't get black mana.
I also didn't have Arid Mesa.
All right.
I played this deck with Bloodstained Mires, and
it's also not playing Blackcleave Cliffs, which is strictly wrong.
That's what I played instead. I played Bloodstained Wires and Wooded Foothills.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you just didn't have the mesas, or
Right. I don't own Mesas, and I don't own the other one.
well, that's fine. I mean, when I was playing Mardu, I played 3 spots for him as my fetches. But I played a way heavier shock mana base, and I played some Shambling.
I'm just gonna run through the sideboard quick.
Oh yeah, go
mostly because the sideboard is like, these are cards you'll probably see in other decks, like just because they need them. Byforce is like your. By the way, Tom and I talked about this already. We're not gonna go too much into it. This sideboard is pretty wrong. Probably for reasons that Tom said, which was like, why are they not playing Blood Moon in a 3-color deck and then cutting the 3rd color anyway?
Yeah, that's basically what I talked.
Yeah, and I'm throwing that out there before we get into this because like this probably should just be a Stoning Silence.
I don't know what you're hovering.
I'm hovering over Byforce. You can have a Byforce, that's fine, but like you should probably have Stoning Silence somewhere in here. You should probably have Rest in Peace somewhere in here. Or not even Rest in Peace, Leyline of the Void.
Yeah, I mean they have no Grave Hate. They have no.
They have Grave Hate. It's just not good.
What are they playing for Grave Hate?
So they have Byforce, they have Duress, they have Nihil Spellbomb.
I'm not a fan of this. I mean, Spellbomb's good, don't get me wrong. Not the biggest fan.
They have their Tron Hate, which is Damping Spear.
Actually a fan.
Lightning Helix. Anger of the Gods. Campbell Council of Allocation. I'm a fan of that card for other reasons. Tom's Boy Sin Collector.
Oh, I actually don't like that card.
Wear Tear. I made the joke about your deck. That's all I was saying.
I know. I had a Sin Collector in the sideboard of 5-color control. It wasn't good. I am taking it out.
And I'm briefly going to scroll over the card selection choices, like the percentages in the decks. And while I do this, I'm just going to have Tom and I talk about real quick why this deck isn't seen as much, and like what would have to be done to the format for it to be seen more. Tom had mentioned this to me, and I kind of agree with it. This deck has a hard time with Tron and with Blue-White.
I'm going to clarify that. I said that this deck can't, and I stand by that.
It can't what?
It cannot beat Blue-White and Tron without Blood Moon.
Yeah.
For Tron, and it cannot beat Blue-White 90% of the time, no matter what.
Yeah, and so that's partially why this deck is just not seen. It's still a good deck.
Yeah.
It just doesn't beat them.
Can't beat 2 of the biggest decks in the meta.
And Blue-White is arguably the second best deck in the format. Like, it's up there. Blue-White is very much in the format now.
Yeah.
And, like, we'll probably talk about this another week. We'll probably do, like, a whole episode on Control being Jeskai and Blue-White. People have really moved away from Jeskai, except on the SCG Tour, and gone straight to Blue-White. I have to clarify that because SCG Tour, for some reason, they love Jeskai.
Weird.
I don't get it. So now, we're going to go to my neck of the woods.
Alright, I will comment as necessary, but I'm not going to be the main.
Because you don't really know much about this deck, do you?
This is not... Honestly, I cannot pilot Dredge. I don't understand.
So, as the resident Dredge head honcho, the leader of the Dredge Circus...
You're right, by the way, that Unburial Rites into Talpa is totally becoming a life from the loam and Flame Jet.
It's so cool, dude!
Why was I not playing Flame Jet?
No, even if you play Raven's Crime.
Either way, both are probably going in there because I can gifts into all 3 and it doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah. So, Dredge is... I'm basically just going to cover this briefly, and then, like I said, we're just going to do what we did. We're going to talk about it. Dredge is a mechanic that was introduced in original Ravnica, so Ravnica City of Guilds, that instead of drawing a card, you replace it with the replacement effect of Dredge X. So a card like Stinkweed Imp has Dredge 5, which means instead of drawing a card, I would mill the top 5 cards of my deck and put Stinkweed Imp in my hand.
That feels fair.
Now, what you're all saying is, but isn't that bad to lose 5 cards off the top of your deck for a 3-mana 1/2 with Flying and Death Touch? Well, no, you're wrong. This deck, this deck takes explicit advantage of the fact that you're milling yourself. You play cards like Narcomoeba, Bloodghast, that come back from your graveyard repeatedly. Narcomoeba once, but Bloodghast many times. I actually had like a game today where I brought back Bloodghast every single turn because my opponent kept chumping them. Like, they would trade with my blood gas, and I'd just keep bringing them back by fetching. And what those do is they bring in my favorite card in Magic. Prized Amalgam. I like Prized Amalgam. I love Prized Amalgam because it's such a weird card. Normally, you look at a creature and you're like, yeah, it's a 3-mana 3/3. Okay, it's playable. Yeah, you cast it and it's there. You don't pay the mana cost on this card, ever.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to tap in for a sec.
Yeah.
You don't usually pay the cost of this card unless you're playing 5-color Hollow.
I actually have cast this card once.
How? You don't have blue mana?
I have Gemstone Mines.
Oh my god! Yeah, you do. Actually, this list has a Steam Vent in it.
And I played that mana base today, and I'm going to get to that.
Why is there a Steam Vent in it?
Oh, we're going to get to that. Don't worry.
Alright. I await your Steam Vents.
I'm going to, same time Tom criticized the last list, I'm going to criticize this one. I disagree with the fact that they're only playing one Golgari Thug. I think Thug is the second best dredger in your deck. I don't think that. I know that. And the fact that they cut it down from 3 to 2, or to 1, is just ridiculous to me. I agree with the Scourge Devil. I've been a big proponent of Scourge Devil in Dredge for a while. The fact that you just get like a Lord from your graveyard is pretty strong. Scourge Devil is a 5-mana 3/3 that when it enters battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. You can unearth it for 2 and a red. So I'm paying 3 mana to Trumpet Blast my team, basically. And swing. Like, it's really strong. And then some other cards that we used to get in our graveyard, or we like to have in our graveyard. To me, the best burn spell in Modern, Conflagrate.
I mean, you're not strictly wrong.
So Conflagrate, at base value, you look at it and you say, God, this card's terrible. It's 1 red, XX. Conflagrate deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures or players. Now it says any number of targets. You can target planeswalkers with this. It has flashback. For red, discard X cards. In Dredge, you're averagely doing that for 5 and up. Averagely. I've done it for 8. I've done it for 7. I've done it for 6. Every time it feels great.
You're a monster.
Oh, it feels awesome. Especially when you shoot blue-white control for 8. Play a land to get back a Bloodghast and unearth the Scourge Devil for lethal.
Ew.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Felt great. Next card is what I call the Elf Murderer. Dark Blast. Dark Blast, at first glance, is terrible. It's a single black mana. For target creature gets -1/-1. And it has Dredge 3.
That feels reasonable.
This card is the bane of existence for elves. Because 90% of what elves plays is 1/1s.
Have you played against Josh?
Yes.
How did he feel about that?
Oh, he was angry. I conflagrated his board, and then as soon as he started playing things like Dark Blast and everything.
So he had no board and no way to get a board.
No, and I had Prized Amalgams. The game was over.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because the trick with this deck is that you can get away with casting these other spells by putting creatures in place from the graveyard. You're not actually casting them. Like, it's actively, like, good. Huh?
It's like you're cheating on mana.
I actually had a really dirty play today. With Dark Blast.
Okay.
I was pausing so I can get your interest, because I figure you might want to hear this. It's pretty good.
He has my full attention.
So, round 1, I played in a 10K today. We're not going to talk about my final result. It was terrible. I played against Colorless Eldrazi in round 1. I ended up losing game 3, but in game 3, I needed to get a good dredger in my yard. I just didn't have much. And so I looked at Dark Blast in my hand. They have a Reality Smasher. I said, okay, during my upkeep. And he's like, okay. I'm like, I'm going to Dark Blast your Reality Smasher. And I actually played this opponent before. He kind of looked at me. He's like, what? And I'm like, and so this doesn't get countered, I'm going to pitch Stinkweed him. And my opponent goes, oh, that's pretty good. And I hit Creeping Chill off of it.
That's also pretty good.
It was really good. The next card we have is Faithless Looting. Tom and I kind of fangasmed about this card. There's not really much else to say. In this deck, it's really dirty that you get to, like...
in every red deck you play.
So, Faithless Looting in this deck specifically.
Oh, it's way better in this deck.
Well, turn 1 you play it. Draw 2, discard 2. Game 2, you flash it back. Not game 2. Turn 2, you flash it back.
No, turn
3. Turn 3, you flash it back, and you dredge 10, because it's Stinkweed Imps.
Or 9, or whatever you actually...
Yeah, like, normally it's 10, but, like, rare cases where it's not. And you just get to draw 10 cards, and then put the Stinkweed Imps back into your graveyard to draw 5 more next turn. It's really good. Another similar trick is Cathartic Reunion. So, Cathartic Reunion is 1 in a red, and as an additional cost to cast it, you have to discard 2 cards.
That's disgusting. I'm just going to say this right now. This interaction is fucking...
So what you can do is, a good example...
I think Dredge is a very fair deck. I think this is...
so there's actually a few different ways that this card works in Dredge, and it makes it very good either way. One way is you discard Prized Amalgam Bloodghast to it, and just draw 3 cards normally, or dredge them if you have them. And then you can play a land, get back the Bloodghast, get back the Prized Amalgam.
To be clear, that's not the one I was talking about.
Or, the really disgusting one, say I have a hand of Cathartic Reunion, Stinkweed Imp, Stinkweed Imp. Cast Cathartic Reunion, I discard the Stinkweed Imps. They're in the graveyard for when I draw the 3 cards. It fuels itself. Dredge players can keep a 2-land hand with this.
Unless you go, surprise, I have Dredgers.
Yeah, you don't even have to expose them until after this. And this card is, like, absurd, and it's a common. The funniest part about Dredge, there aren't that many cards in this deck that are, like, above uncommon. Like, Prized Amalgam, I think, is, like... Prized Amalgam, Narcomoeba, and Bloodghast. And Life from the Loam. The good ones are... Speaking of Life from the Loam, Life from the Loam is actually a personal favorite card of mine. I really like this card. So, for people who don't know this about me, I am obsessed with playing dumb Life from the Loam shenanigans in Commander.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I love Life from the Loam. So, Life from the Loam says return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then has Dredge 3. So, the way people play this card in unfair ways is they Dredge 3 with it, cast it, get 3 lands back, and do it again next turn. There's actually a deck in Legacy that does this repeatedly. It's all it does. I know lands does other things, but, like, it's pretty accurate. Huh?
That's a fair way to play that card.
Yeah. This deck sort of does that. I say sort of because, like, you do get lands back from your graveyard. Usually you're doing that to fuel Conflagrate.
Yeah.
Like, I've cast Life from the Loam so many times to just put lands in my hand. Like, one time I dredged Life from the Loam once, held it. The next turn I Life from the Loam again with a second one. Like, so I'd get 2 Life from the Loams from dredging and cast them both to put 6 cards in my hand. The next turn I would dredge something else and I'd 7 somebody with a Conflagrate. It's just how it works. It's very strong. The real reason we decided to talk about this deck today at all is a new card from Guilds of Ravnica actually found its way into the deck and is making it kind of a force again.
I wouldn't say kind of.
So I am actually in the opinion of I want to say this deck, I'd rather say it's like tier 2 right now rather than tier 1. It was like tier 3. That's an accurate statement, right?
Yeah, that is a generous way to refer to it.
So the card that got added was Creeping Chill. Creeping Chill is a 3 and a black for deal 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. When Creeping Chill is put into your graveyard from your library, you may exile it. If you do, Creeping Chill deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. Huh. It sounds like I get to do this for free.
But wait, is there any downside to what happens if you dredge it?
No, I believe I just get to do it for free.
Wow.
And so, Dredge is a deck that, like I was saying earlier, tries to just burst you to death with a Conflagrate. Well, If you deal them 12 damage by hitting 4 Creeping Chills from your deck, they're at 8. What's like the highest number you can think of you can do with a Conflagrate in a turn? 8. Or even better is the Creeping Chills make Bloodghasts have haste.
Oh yeah.
Like it's absurd. I can't fathom to you why this is a thing. I don't know. I'll never know. I'm happy about it.
You want to know the best part? It's not even a Golgari mechanic.
No. Technically, it's not even a Dimir mechanic.
It's a Dimir card. It's for Surveil. We all know.
It is, but like, look at it. Is there any watermark on that card?
Well, no.
No. It's just a black card in the set. Ravnica is a plane where they randomly experiment with some graveyard shenanigans, but like it's not as bad as Innistrad where they really experiment with graveyard shenanigans.
I need to stop
I mean, if they really want to experiment with it that bad, they can just reprint Dredge.
That's not an experiment. That's a mistake.
No, we need a better Dredger that's better than Grave Troll. That way they can unban Grave Troll.
That's a hot take.
Yo, what up?
So bad that Grave Troll looks medium. Modern.
Everyone, this is Curtis. He's a standard player.
Wait, Curtis,
me.
You're here?
He just popped in.
Yo, Curtis, what's up?
So Curtis is going to join us for the tail end of this.
Apparently.
So
What'd you say?
you're joining us for the tail end of the podcast.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
We're doing a podcast. What's up?
We're currently talking about the best deck in the format of Modern.
What's that?
Dredge.
Oh, because of Creeping Chill?
Exactly.
I believe it. That card's really good with you. Or with your deck.
The last card I want to talk about in the main deck before I rant for a minute about the lands, because I have opinions, is a card that I think is terrible, but I feel like it's necessary. And I have a signed playset of them for Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Tom.
Yep. He has a signed playset of Shriekhorn signed by me.
Yep. Not even kidding you, Curtis. I'll show you him. It's great.
No, he actually does. That's entirely true. Has anyone asked you whose signature that is?
No. I think they just assume it's the artist.
That's hilarious.
So Shriekhorn is a 1-mana artifact that enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters, and you remove a charge counter from it. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into the graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
It fuels the deck, but it's not that good.
It's pretty rough.
So real quick hot take on this land base, by the way. I think this actual configuration they have of the lands is dog shit. So I'm a big fan of fetchless Dredge. I prefer playing 4 mana confluences, 4 gemstone caverns, and like, you know, black cleave cliffs and copperline gorges, and just like not taking much damage off my lands. I tried fetching like Dredge with fetches today, and people are always like, "Oh, well, you got to play fetches and Dredge because this way you can get your Bloodghast back at instant speed." That never came up. It was completely irrelevant.
I'm gonna hold off for 1 sec. That actually is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's extremely irrelevant.
Irrelevant or...
No, it is a relevant interaction.
It's a relevant interaction that never comes out.
It's pretty niche.
Yeah, like, it's super niche that, like, I'd rather just play no fetches and, like, never get color screwed than playing a stupid Steam Vince in my deck that is there to cast 2 cards.
That's fair.
Because you know what is not in this list that I actually still played today because I think that land is underrated in this deck?
What?
Gemstone Mine.
That's a good one.
Because there's a fun little interaction with Life from the Loam with Gemstone Mine. When the last counter comes off of Gemstone Mine, it goes to the graveyard immediately. You can Life from the Loam it back. And play it again.
Yeah. True. Are there any other cool synergies with random lands like that?
Dockmar Salvage, but it's very niche.
Ramunap Ruins, technically.
Oh, don't get me started.
Well, we will talk to Curtis. We will talk to you about Life from Loam and Ramunap Ruins once the podcast is done, because I feel like you're going to get too aroused for this.
I'll be too riled up for the cast.
This is a children's show, damn it! Wait, what?
No. The sideboard is close to good. Ghost Quarter's fine. Lightning Axe is great. Nature's Claim, I think, is fine. I didn't play it today. I actually played 1 Destructive Revelry, 2 Abrupt Decays, and an Assassin's Trophy. I don't know if it was better or worse. Pithing Needle, very good card. Can't say anything bad about it. Decay, I stand by that card. Ancient Grudge is very good. And I actually think Tune Out of the Bone is the way to go. Even though Creeping Chill makes your burn matchup better, Not of the Bone is hilariously good against burn when you have 5 creatures in your graveyard and you gain 10 life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Usually get dirty and go to the graveyard for a little bit. Oh, and also, whoever tries telling me that the new Narcomoeba art is wrong, you can fight me. You're lying to yourself.
People just like...
The old Narcomoeba art is pretty damn gross.
It's gross, and you can get awesome pre-release promos of of Guilds of Ravnica Narcomoebas. Yes, I'm collecting them, please.
Ooh, they're like...
Huh?
Very cheap.
You should play 2 and 2 split of Narcomoeba.
No, because I am now sick of looking at the old art, and I only want the new one.
Alright.
I want pre-release promos of the new one.
The Future Sight one?
No, the Guilds of Ravnica.
Oh, no. I mean, are you sick of the Future Sight one?
I have the Modern Masters ones, but they're because I don't like the Future Sight border. I never have.
Really?
Yeah, hot take, the Future Sight border is garbage. Every single card I could possibly have with the Future Sight border, I don't have.
That is actually a hot take?
I have Modern Master Street Wraiths, I had Modern Masters Bridge from Belows, and I have Modern Masters Narcomoebas. Fight me. That Future Sight border is disgusting.
The Glyph looks cool.
The Glyph is okay. Again, I would rather play with the Modern Masters one because it looks like a Magic card.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I play Invocations, Expeditions, and Inventions. I clearly don't care if it looks like a traditional Magic card.
So those are fine to me, right? Because those are fancy, kind of looking like a Magic card. The Future Sight border was just a fucking amalgamation. Worse than actual prized amalgam.
What were they trying with that?
So the whole premise of it was that was what the future of Magic cards is supposed to look like.
With slightly shifted mana symbols?
And I think they realized, everyone's like, man, that looks like dog shit.
I mean, what's cool about the game is that it's been around for
25 years.
30 years. Yeah, 25 years. They don't need to change. If it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Don't fix it. Yeah.
I mean, before we move on to the final thing we're going to talk about, which is a brew for standard. So you're actually good for this, Curtis.
I'm down with that.
I say brew. It's actually a known deck that I'm going to try and convince Tom of why he should build it.
Standard is wide the fuck open.
Oh yeah, it is.
What were you saying, Tom? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's fine. I was probably saying something appropriate.
No, you said we won't have to convince you that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the back half was I have a raging heart on for this list.
Yeah, it is. So I forget what I was going to say, so we're just going to move on to it. The final thing we're going to talk about is Rainbow Lich.
Oh, I think I've seen this list, actually.
You might have. MTG Goldfish talked about it. Ali Andrazi wrote about it. It's basically, in Standard, there's a way to play 5 colors. It's not good.
For sure.
You can play 5 colors. And
I can see it. This
is a 5-color deck based around a enchantment that costs 3 black.
Yeah, I see that.
So
Chance for Glory.
Oh, we're gonna get to that, Curtis. So Lich's Mastery is Lich's Mastery is a 6-mana enchantment with hexproof that says you can't lose the game.
Yes. I like that.
Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When Lich's Mastery leaves the battlefield, you lose the game.
Okay.
But now what you're saying is, well, what if my opponent just beats my head in? Well, don't suck. That's about that. Literally just don't suck and you won't have that happen. The deck plays 1 Chemister's Insight, 1 Vraska's Contempt, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 3 Settle the Wreckage, 4 Revitalize, which with Lich's Mastery is a 2-mana draw 4. And the card that Curtis had just mentioned, Chance for Glory. It is a 3-mana, take an extra turn card. But it says at the beginning of your next of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Huh, what does Lich's Mastery say again? I believe it says you can't lose the game.
We have Time Warp.
So it's basically, they took Time Warp and said, man, we need to add something to make this worse. Extra color. And not make it in blue.
Yeah, they already did one blue one that was a terrible idea.
And so the way this deck works, like some of them were playing Fogs, some aren't. The way this deck wins a lot of the time is you play the Mirari Conjecture, and you cast Chance for Glory a bunch of times. And then you play Mastermind's Acquisition and grab like Banefire out of your sideboard when you have enough mana.
Oh my god.
And you just blast them.
You just send an absolute missile.
You
Oh, that's how it wins.
Huh?
Oh, that's
great. It's hilarious.
You're like, how does this deck win? Well, you get 20 lands. Or no, even better, you get like 11 lands. The Mirari Conjecture goes to its last mode, and you cast Banefire.
Oh, and you copy it. Oh my god.
It plays. This deck plays a card that I am actively like against.
What?
Discovery Dispersal.
You don't like that card?
So the reason I don't like it is that people are playing it over Chemister's Insight.
Oh.
And I think that's wrong. Like, yeah, you're surveilling 2 and drawing a card with Discovery, but I can pay 2 more mana, draw 2 cards, and then flash it back to draw 2 more cards.
No, that's obviously better in a control deck.
And, like, yeah, Rainbow Lich is a control deck. The blue-black control deck also does the same thing, and I'm still, like, boggled by it. They're like, well, Dispersal's really good. Yeah, okay, but when I'm looking at card advantage, I'm not looking at the back half of a card.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, how do I get cards in my hand?
Yeah, you could... Well, it's black. I guess because it's black, it's...
Yeah. And, like,
easier.
Rainbow Lich can get away with it, because they play Revitalize. I get that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I still don't like it.
Yeah. I guess the deck doesn't need to be keeping mana untapped for the first couple turns, so it's just digging you the deepest, and it's better than Anticipate because it's black.
Do you agree,
That's the only
Tom?
reason I could think.
Sorry, I missed that. What was that?
He said it's better than Anticipate because it's black.
And you don't need to stay untapped for anything in your deck.
I mean, representing counterspells is non-trivial, but...
I mean, let's be real. This deck, if you're trying to counter anything, you're an idiot.
Yeah, there's one island. You know what I mean? It's not a counterspell deck.
No, I know.
So that's like the main reason.
Black mana does make it better than.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine.
So Discovery, I'm playing Discovery in a green-black like mid-range deck right now.
Yeah, that could be fine.
It's an extremely powerful card for in a deck that like doesn't have any business drawing cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like mono green Stompy shouldn't be able to draw or look at 3 cards in a turn like that.
No, you're correct.
But it is, and it's sweet.
What, Tom?
It feels wrong in a mono green Stompy.
Yeah, but like the fact that you can play it and actually have that ability is kind of sick too.
Yeah, it's not really a Dimir card. It's more of like a black card because of that hybrid cost.
And like a brief rundown of the sideboard before we wrap up, because like this deck, like we talked about it, there's not really much else to say. It's a black green deck splashing like every other color in the frickin' format.
Here's what I will say about this deck is I played against what was that card? What was the one that ramped you 2 and gave you 2 zombies?
Hour Promise? Yeah.
Yeah, I played against an Hour Promise deck in the last standard, and the only reason it did well at this PPTQ was because no one had any idea what it was. Like this reminds me of that deck a lot because like your opponent would just have no clue what is going on.
I mean, fair.
And like that's kind of a big thing in standard because everyone's like so hyper aware of the meta.
Yeah.
So I can see this actually being like a thing you could do to actually win games, not just like a joke.
And just a thing to point out, you do play Masterminds Acquisition.
Yeah.
Because of that, your sideboard is kind of limited on what you can do. So they play 4 Duress, 1 Nature's Spiral, 1 Deafening Clarion, 3 Knight of Autumn, 1 Mirari Conjecture, 2 Carnage Tyrant, 1 Immortal Sun, 1 Nezahal Primal Tide, and 1 Banefire. A lot of these one-ofs are like targets for the Masterminds Acquisition.
It's like you're playing a 75-card deck without playing 75 cards.
Yeah,
exactly.
you're playing a 73-card deck because you have 2 Masterminds Acquisitions.
Or if you Mirari Conjecture it.
Ooh. Curtis, we don't speak like that here.
This deck is insane. That's all I can say.
Sensible? You stop that.
Huh?
Did Curtis say something sensible? You stop.
Yeah, right? No mono red player says anything sensible. So
only will you take the 3? You'll take 3, right?
So everyone, this has been episode 2 of From Junk to Jank. Like, comment, subscribe. We should be back next week as long as I don't get lazy and not contact either of them again, like last week.
Is that why that happened? Okay.
That's why there was no episode last week. I kind of got lazy.
I was wondering about that, honestly.
Yeah, that was my fault. So yeah, have a great day, everyone, and talk to you next time.